Hello YouTube, this is Christian coming to you with another review. This time on the table it's a Kizer Assasin in S35VN with full titanium scales. Actually, I don't think they do make it in any other version, but I got this recently among a small collection of knives, and I haven't had the chance. It's been out for a while, but I never laid hands on one. And well, I recently played around with it a little bit. It's not a user of mine, but I found it a rather interesting little knife, and I thought, well, you know, that might actually be worth a little review. So it is not a big knife if we compare it to the recently reviewed CVV Elementum, just here side by side. You can see they're about the same length overall, albeit with a far more aggressive plate shape, which is a trail point in this particular case, and relatively short and compact. So in hand you can see it is a rather small knife. I can get all my fingers around it quite nicely, but it's kind of at the limit of being a comfortable plate. Recently I've grown very fond of trading point blades, mostly because I have to do a lot of piercing tasks at work, and that's really where they shine, where they work really well, and also they're quite excellent for any kind of rolling cutting tasks where that particular plate shape makes a lot of sense. They're also good for push cuts, so for a number of reasons, despite their aggressive look, which is something I usually don't want to have in my pocket, mostly because I get the looks from other people when I pull it out, but it is just very functional by design. In a smaller plate like this, where it doesn't necessarily look like a murder weapon, I don't mind it so much. So this is a prime example for a small plate in a very functional package. So it might not quite go through as a gentleman's folder, but in terms of size, overall carry profile, and once again let's put it side by side to the CVV Elementum, you can see there's not much in it in terms of carry profile. So it's very nice and compact, and really it slides into any pocket without you noticing too much of it. So as far as deployment is concerned, you have a number of options here. It is a flipper, so light switching it works brilliantly. It's a very smooth action, as you would expect from any Kizer knife these days. They just have their game down in terms of quality of deployment. That's really good. And right now I almost straight away have to go back on this one, because in this particular design, and this is not necessarily a manufacturing fault, but rather I think a design fault, this interesting looking little cutout that they have there around your thumb hole is unfortunately not very functional. It is kind of, yeah, creating a bit of an interesting look, but I would have appreciated if just for the sake of creating something interesting, they would have just done away with it, and just if they would have just went with a straight up grind on that thumb hole area, mostly because it kind of makes it a bit hard to flip it. You're not getting a good grip on it. It works, but you got to focus on doing it. And as far as reverse flicking is concerned, or spider flicking is concerned, you really come up against that little sharp edge there, and it's not very good. So you don't get yeah, it's just not a good reverse flicker. And so my complaint there is, do away with it. You know, call it a flipper. Do away with the thumb hole, or if you do a thumb hole, do it right. So people who think they can thumb flip it or reverse flick it can actually do it when they get it. It's a bit, even slow rolling, that works, but it's not the most comfortable thing because of the detent. So yeah, it works, but yeah, it would be served better without that lower area here, if that was just on the same level, it would work an awful lot better. Okay, so as far as frame locks are concerned, on small knives with a relatively low carry profile, this kind of design, while it looks great, I mean, I love the lines of the pocket clip in relation to the body of the knife, but this kind of design doesn't work so well on rather low carry profile knives, and the reason is that you always sort of naturally rest one of your fingers on the lock bar in one way or another, especially if you grip it for a thumb hole deployment, where your index finger really wants to be sitting on the lock bar, and it doesn't make things easier. And you can see right here, up there, that your flipper tab is actually interfering quite a bit with your attempt to open it with the thumb hole, so you got to kind of pull the knife away in order to clear that flipper tab in order to open that up. So that's not quite ideal. Everything else on this knife I really like. I like the way they've done your lanyard fastening method there with a backspacer. All of that looks rather premium. The pocket clip is quite nice. This one here, in terms of in terms of the frame lock, they could have done it a bit better, like on the Kizer Assasin, where they have the micarta inlays actually going over the lock bar, and you're only exposing the other side of it, which makes a lot more sense for a small carry profile. Unfortunately, on this one also, you can see they serrated the inside of the pocket clip. I'll try to get that in a little bit closer for you. There you have it. You see those little serrations? They're not, they've done that before on the Kizer Assasin, and I'm not a great fan of that because it starts to rip the seams of your pockets. As opposed to the Kizer Assasin, however, on this one they went with a more rounded profile. So it's not as rippy, it's not as sharp, it's not going to cause as much damage to your trousers by comparison to the Assasin. They just do that in order to relieve a little bit of pressure on the pocket clip there, which, you know, is fair enough. But and in this case, I haven't carried it. I can't tell you out of day-to-day experience how this will work, but it's something, you know, to keep an eye on. It's not overly sharp, so it might just be fine. Another thing that I find really nice, look at how tight this is. And this is a testament to how Kizer works these days. It's just really, really, really tight tolerances in terms of clearing the scales to the actual plate stock. It's really nice, compact, and they tried to make it really as flat as they could while maintaining contoured scales and reasonable ergonomics in every other way. And as opposed to, just the previous video I did was on the V Elementum, how easy it is to maintain an aesthetic in terms of your frame lock access. You look at that, and the fact that your top scale here in the frame lock region is far more further back doesn't even bother you a bit. And the reason is that they put such an elegant chamfer onto your frame lock edge down there that with the right light you can see it almost blends into the same shade as your top chamfer, and it doesn't disturb one bit. And to be honest, even if it did, who cares? Because when you have your knife open, your hands are around it anyways. And if you have your knife closed, you don't see it at all. So by all means, manufacturers left, right and center, give us lock bar access. It so improves the ergonomics of knives to just be able to go in there, open it and close it without having to find a place, get some leverage, use a tiny bit of meat on your thumb to force that frame lock or lock bar over to the other side. Sometimes it can be a pain. In this case, you can say Kizer, and I've seen it on so many knives from Kizer, on the Kizer Tauser, on their sheepdog line, on the T1. There's so many Kizer knives out there where they just pay so much attention on liner lock or frame lock access, and this is a prime example. How to do it right in a frame lock, how to do it right in a liner lock has been demonstrated many times over before. And this is great. I mean, really, for the kind of money you're paying, I have to say this is awesome. This is great. I mean, whether you like the design, whether you like small knives, and whether or not you can overlook that little design flaw here, if you want to call it that, it's just my opinion. But if you can overlook this, it's a great little knife. It's awesome, right? And it comes in at a reasonable price as well. So I think I picked this one up for $97 US new, reduced price, but yeah, sure, there's nothing wrong with it. It feels premium left, right and center. It is thought through. Some design decisions I wouldn't agree with, but other than that, S35VN, there's certainly nothing wrong in terms of ergonomics other than saying, well, it's a flipper. Let's call it a flipper. Because thumb hole deployment, reverse flicking deployment, that's not ideal, right? But other than that, I'm very happy with this particular knife, especially for the money and for a small pocket knife. This is a cute little fella. If you like trailing point, then this would certainly be a nice choice, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got a few more to come tomorrow, and yeah, stay tuned. All good. Thank you. You all have a good day. Bye.